Japanese man had become tired of his wife. When they married, she was the most gorgeous girl he'd ever seen, with long black hair, stunning brown eyes, and smooth skin. Her appearance had deteriorated over time, and she had gained weight. Her face had gotten wrinkled. He realized he wasn't attracted to her anymore, so he left her. The man informed his wife that he wanted a divorce and soon moved out of the house. He rented an apartment in the city and began visiting bars and clubs in quest of a new love. It wasn't long before he met a breathtakingly beautiful young girl. She was just 18 years old, tall and thin, with long flowing blonde hair. He was immediately smitten, and within weeks, he had asked her to marry him. The blonde girl agreed, and after their marriage, she moved in with him. However, once the ring was on her finger, the blonde girl's demeanor altered. Prior to the wedding, she had been charming, polite, and playful. But suddenly her demeanor was harsh, cruel, and rude. She was vain and appeared to spend hours in front of the mirror, cleaning, applying cosmetics, and staring at herself. She was also extremely demanding. She forced him to spend all of his money on her. She forced him to purchase her new clothes, jewelry, gadgets, and even a new car. One day, the man returned home and took a close look at his new wife. All of the cosmetics, eyeliner, mascara, and eyeshadow simply served to conceal the ugliness within. He began to wish he had not married her. As the years passed, the man began to miss his old wife. She may have been elderly and overweight, but she was a compassionate and considerate individual. He sobbed as he remembered her soothing voice, gentle smile, and infinite tolerance. He regretted the day he divorced her. He gradually realized that he still loved his first wife, more than he could ever love the blonde woman. He came to realize how he had abandoned the only woman who actually loved him. Sometimes in his fantasies, he saw his elderly wife sitting alone in her room, her long black hair concealing her face. And late at night, he'd question himself, how is she doing? What's she doing? Will she ever take him back? After a heated dispute, he realized he couldn't take it any longer with his new wife. He chose to abandon her. He left the city and traveled the long distance back to his previous wife's home. When he arrived at the street where they used to dwell, it was late at night. The house appeared uninhabited. Tall weeds grew in the garden, and the windows were damaged and shattered. The roof tiles were missing, and the walls appeared to have been painted for many years. He knocked on the front door, but nobody responded. He then tried the handle and discovered that the door was not locked. He walked inside and found the rooms empty and silent. A frigid wind blew through the smashed windows. Going upstairs, he opened the door to the bedroom and was surprised to see his wife sitting on the bed. He ran up to her, held her, and cried on her shoulder. Through his sobs, he told her how much he had missed her throughout the years and begged her to forgive him for leaving her. Although her long black hair obscured her face, he could hear her lovely voice murmuring in his ear. She told him, "I'm glad you came back to me, even if only for a moment." "Only for a moment," he responded, laughing. "Girl, I'm back for good. Now we can spend the rest of our lives together." He pushed her hair away from her face and moved in to kiss her. But when he opened his eyes, he shouted out in terror. Her face resembled a dusty, moldering skull. To his surprise, he realized he was holding only a sack of dusty old bones and long, stringy black hair. In disgust, the man stood up and threw the bones aside. He stood there in the faint light, shuddering as a dreadful sensation ran through his body. He dashed downstairs and out the front door, then approached a neighbor on the street and demanded to know who lived in the old, broken down, abandoned home. "There's no one living in that house right now," replied the neighbor. "Years ago, it belonged to a woman whose husband abandoned her. He divorced her in order to marry another woman. She was so distraught that she committed suicide soon after."